Hey yo, what's up? This your boy DeMarco, CEO of Trap Spelling Bee. Check this out. Today I'm in Shawnee, Oklahoma at Joe Cooper Chrysler Jeep and Dodge, and I'll be sitting down and have an interview with a good friend of mine, Jason Valentine. Jason is the general manager here at Joe Cooper, and me and him worked in the car business many years back. We developed a great friendship, and I know Jason ain't a man of many words, and he don't do a lot of social media, but he has a phenomenal story that I want to share on my platform, so he agreed to sit down with me. So y'all stay tuned, check out our interview. All right, peace. I like to do hood rat shit with my friends. I've been a player since way back. I like to do hood rat shit with my friends. I've been a player since way back. I like to do hood rat shit with my friends. I've been a player since way back. I like to do hood rat shit with my friends. I get a discount. Kinfo be looking out. He said 1,200, man. I'm getting them under 7. Why would I do that? What's up? Where JV at?
They still in the meeting.
Oh, I think I supposed to had talked in a meeting. I might be late.
He's in the kazoo back there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, you said okay, cool. Damn, I didn't know if I was supposed to he had mentioned talking in it. I don't know if I guess they don't let. Y'all doing?
People right here.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Oh man, I was like, where are all the salesmen? I was like, I didn't even get up, man. Where are the salesmen? What they doing at Joe Cooper?
They're all right here.
Right on.
We're going over. We just did our test.
Oh, okay.
So we're going over little stuff that we can go over that, and we're trying to like he said, he wants to learn about the process. So we're trying to figure out and he said, I need help with it, and we're trying to expand what it means, right? So kind of going through that, guys. So product, process.
Hey, yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, DeMarco. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Jason Valentine, man. A real, true, the epitome of a car guy, man. He has done some amazing things in the car business, but also he's an amazing person. And me and him developed a friendship through the car business that will remain forever. And, you know, I'm glad that you sat down with me today, JV, to get this interview, man. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce y'all to the general manager of Joe Cooper Chrysler Jeep and Dodge, Jason Valentine. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
How it feel, man?
It feels good, man. A long time in the works.
It's been a while, man. We started selling cars in 2012 together. Yeah. You said you've been a salesman for 12 years, so that was right around the same time.
Yeah, I started on July 17th of 2011.
That's crazy. And guess when I started? July of 2012.
Oh, yeah.
So
1 year
yeah,
apart.
I remember you was kind of probably celebrating your 1 year anniversary
right
around the time I came. So I want to tell y'all a funny story about me and JV. Now, JV is the general manager now, but he was a salesman. And as you heard in his sales meeting, he was telling his salesman that he sell. And I said, maybe they don't understand. Like, he was a real salesman. And it was months we went neck and neck in sales, but as I told him right before the cameras came on, I could never mess with you in growth. But I could say that I dethroned him a few times in sales, and I mean, it took hard work, but man, just looking back 12 years ago when we was running around that lot catching ups, man, I never could imagine that we would be in the positions we were, but I seen the potential that you had. And at that time, it was just the evolution of JV because you were just a young kid with a lot of talent.
Green pea.
And, you know, you would show up to work like you would just, you know, kind of do your own thing, but they could not deny your skill.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that you had a special skill in the car business. And I'm just glad that, you know, your maturity finally caught up.
Finally, yeah, it took a long time.
But everyone knew, I felt like everyone around you knew that only you could stop you from being in the position you are now. And we'll get into that. But I just want, like I said, when I was asked for this interview, you told me you had never been interviewed, but I was just thinking, man, like you have an amazing story. Like over the years, you have told me things and we have found many commonalities that we didn't even know we had, you know, even as car salesmen together. When we just started developing a friendship, and Blair, your wife, she has been a great friend as well. And, you know, you guys have helped me with my charity efforts over the years and just seeing you guys grow. And like I said, we came in as car salesmen. Now I'm looking at the general manager, and, you know, you do good. I'm sure you lead the auto group, you know, and probably every statistical category when it comes to, you know, sales. And I just want you to walk people back, like from where it started, because a lot of people will see someone like you in a position you in, but they don't know that you have a story that makes your story even that much more special to overcome some of the odds you came. And one of the first things that we discovered about each other, that we both kind of grew up in the struggle.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we both took a liking to each other because we understood where we was coming from at the time. You know, we were young men and we were transitioning in the car business, and at the time, I'm not sure what your future looked like for you, but that's all I had. Like,
no, agreed, 100%.
I didn't have any other options.
We had no other options.
You know, I literally, man, I haven't told this story on camera, JV, but the call that I made to Trent Smith, you remember Trent Smith?
I do, yeah.
I had 2 calls that I was gonna make.
Right here.
Yeah, Trent, yeah. What we call them, cans.
Cans,
tall cans. So it was 2 calls. I used to sell, you remember I used to sell CDs on the line.
No, yeah, the back of your trunk.
Yeah, so out the back of my trunk, yeah, I would, like, after work, I would pull up and I would sell CDs.
I got some DJ Country Fresh still.
For sure. So Trent had, used to get CDs from me, and one time he said, man, you should be a salesman. Sometimes you don't know what these movies is about, but you'll just kind of make up something, and I'll believe you enough to buy it. He said, that's a car salesman, man.
Yeah.
And I just kind of ignored him when he said it, but I remember I was in a fork in the road. I was going through a tough period of my life that I couldn't find employment. I was coming off, a criminal case to where I was on probation, so a lot of jobs wouldn't hire me. So I remember thinking, man, either I'm gonna go back to selling drugs, or I'm gonna try this car business out. So, man, I made 2 calls. Luckily, I made the call to the car business
For sure, yeah,
first.
good call.
And I never had to make the second call, and, it's been history from there. So that was kind of my lead up to the car business. Tell us, like, what led you in the car business?
So it's funny you say that. Your exact story, I have a very similar story. So I'm young, can't find employment. I don't have a license. I've let a couple seatbelt tickets, silly stuff, suspend my license.
Yeah.
So my wife, Blair, which everybody knows, I mean, she's my rock. She's the reason I attest I'm here today.
Absolutely.
For my wife. But we had just moved out in our first apartment. I didn't have a job. So my wife said, you got to go get a job. Can't get a job with no license, no, little stuff like that. You can't get back and forth to work. So I decided to sell my truck. I sold my truck to get my driver's license. So I got a driver's license, but now I got no right to work. So my wife has a single cab Chevy, black Chevy. We live in an apartment. She trusted me enough at 18 years old to move me into a house with bills in her name, and knew I'd take care of her. And I showed her nothing before that.
Wow.
So I paid for my license, got a truck, or I paid for my license. My wife was working at Sonic at the time. And what I did was, one of my buddies got a job at Stanley.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, I'm going to go apply at David Stanley or David Stanley Dodge or David Stanley Chevy, and kind of backtrack, not to jump everywhere. When I had previously worked at a previous job, I wanted to be in sales. I was 19 years old. And I said, how do I get into sales? And they said, well, you can't. You have to have some kind of sales experience.
Right.
It's either got to be phone books or it's got to be car sales. I don't care what it is. Come back with sales experience. I was turning wrenches, and I was like, I can't get sales experience if I'm here. Right. I got laid off from that job, so I thought about it for like a year. So when it's time for me to get a job, I thought, hey, I'm going to go be a car salesman. I don't want to sell phone books.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'll go be a car salesman. I always kind of felt like I was good with my words or process, work ethic, stuff like that. So when I went over to Stanley. I got hired on at Stanley. And then they didn't tell me anything else, nothing. They just said, hey, you're hired. So the next day comes around, it's like 11:47, and then I get a call. Hey, you're going to be in the meeting at 12? And I was like, I don't know when I'm supposed to start. You got to be here in 13 minutes or you don't work here. And I was like, so Blair had to come home from Sonic, take me to work and back. But basically, at the beginning stages of my car career, I went and bought a pair of $17 George pants from Walmart.
Wow.
Blair got them for a tip money.
Was they khaki?
There's khaki. I had khaki, I had the gray, and I had the black.
Yeah, you had to have the khaki.
You iron them too wrong, the iron burns into them. You know what I'm saying? So I had those, and the first time I tried to iron a pair of pants, I don't know how to iron pants.
Right.
I burnt the back pocket, so I had to wear those for like 2 weeks. Blair got enough money in car help money at Sonic that she bought me some new pants.
Wow.
But that's how I rolled in the car business. I was 22 years old. I just started. Blair trusted me enough to make a decision to move me into a house.
Wow.
I was living in a one-bedroom trailer on my mom's couch at 22 years old.
Wow.
And my wife, to this day, I still thank her for all that.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be where I was. I mean, there's a couple things that happened. But I didn't have anywhere to go. I mean, it was this or nothing. My wife, hey, we got a house payment now. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? So
Blair's amazing. Blair's amazing, and we're gonna get more into it. Blair,
Yeah.
we got to talk about
you got
Blair
to, yeah.
and your son Bricks.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about them, and we'll get to them. They're definitely not gonna be last, and definitely not gonna be least. But let's take it back a little further. Let's take it back to kind of childhood, like your upbringing. When we talk about growing up in the struggle, some guys might see you and say, you know, you were handed this position.
Sure.
You know, you had a clear path to, you know, general manager. Tell people kind of about a little bit about your upbringing and kind of, you know, some of the things that inspired you and motivated you, you know, from childhood beyond.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So I wasn't handed it. I promise you know that.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of people know that. But
Absolutely.
my biggest thing was I didn't have the upbringing that my life provides me now. So I had my mom, who's a single mom with 3 kids. We bounced around. I think we counted at one time. I went to 37 different schools.
Wow.
So we were in obviously low income, poverty, actual color paper food stamps.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So we went through all that, and I always jumped in schools. I kind of went through the system a little bit as a kid. Kind of to touch on some topics. I lived in foster care for a portion of my life, kind of all over till I was about 11.
Wow.
So I was in and out of things. My brother was in and out of things. But I was always the new kid,
Right.
you know. So I was always trying to adapt to my environment and kind of feel my way into things and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. But I kind of grew up all over Dale City, Moore, Midwest City. I went to Norman for a little bit, kind of all over. But I was never handed anything.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I always wanted to be a statistic, but I don't want to be like the 85% statistic. I wanted to be like a 1% statistic. I wanted to break barriers or do things that people say I couldn't. You know,
Absolutely.
my whole life, you've heard it too. So you can't do this, or you know,
Right.
I was the kid that got called to the principal's office to get a Christmas gift someone donated,
Exactly.
and I had that feeling, and I was never ungrateful for it. But I was like, I want to be the guy that does that.
And
know
you
what I'm saying?
do.
So that's why I donate to your charities.
Absolutely.
And stuff
So
like that.
let me tell the camera that every year for probably about 12 years, Blair and JV donates to my Give a Little Foundation charity. And man, I haven't told you guys, but it's been years that you guys have been the only ones who volunteered to donate to my cause. And what my cause is every year I was hosting from 2014 to 2018, I believe, right before the pandemic. I was hosting a Youth Boys Life Camp where I was teaching youth boys in my community skills on how to become men, because that's something that we talked about. And literally I started my charity while I was on the lot with JV, and me and him had these conversations about growing up rough and just not having, we were young men on the lot, and we had to learn a lot of our people skills, a lot of our just, you know, adult skills right there on the lot. And just growing up without those father figures and those role models, I created this camp where I wanted to teach young men in my community not how to play sports, not how to, you know, do anything but just be men.
Suited and booted.
Just be men. You know, learn how to shake a man's hand, learn how to greet a man when you meet him. And you know, we did this for 4 years, me and my charity, and I had a host of kids, I believe over 300 kids we were able to have come through my camp, and that first class of kids that came to the camp has actually graduated.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
High school.
Yeah.
So yeah, you and Blair had been supporting that from the time I started it to the time I stopped, and I was very grateful for that. But also, I have a charity event to where I host a toy drive every Christmas for kids that came up in the community that I came up in. And when he said he had to go to the principal's office to get the toys, that was the similar story that me and my siblings had. My sister would write these Dear Santa letters, and she was in a 4th grade articulating our struggle to a point that it pierced people's hearts to where multiple families would come sponsor us. The whole ideal of doing my charity, and when I told you about that, you told me about your story, and ever since for the last 10 to 12 years, you and your wife have been helping me, man, and I'm so grateful for that. And I think that's when our friendship kind of formed, when we realized, like, man, we have been in these positions, but we can make a difference. And for you and your wife, unconsciously, to donate hundreds to thousands of dollars, thousands of Coach winter clothes and things to my cause, man, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And, you know, I'm very grateful because Blair, we spoke of Blair. Blair is adamant every year, regardless of whether I got out the car business or not. Hey, DeMarco, is any charity events coming? Yeah, and it just makes me feel good to know that you guys really believe in my vision to help the community. And a lot of times, you know, let's just address the elephant in the room. They wouldn't even think me and you, you know, a black and a white guy would even have
for sure, yeah.
a relationship like we have. And we don't broadcast it. We don't,
100%.
we check on each other. You know, we'll communicate through text. You didn't let me come into your dealership, do TikTok skits, and you just support everything that I do. But a lot of the times, you'll have a friend in someone, and people might not know, but that's why part of this interview was I wanted to give you your flowers in front of the world to see, to say that you and your wife, being of your ethnicity, you know I'm helping black kids, and you guys never made it an issue to say, hey, who are you helping? But understanding that, hey, I grew up with these same type of kids, whether they look like me or they look like him. I grew up in this same struggle, and for you guys to never make it about anything but help.
For sure, yeah.
We just want to assist. We just want to help. I appreciate that, man. And a lot of men and a lot of women, and when Blair see this, Blair, thank you. Because a lot of men and women in my community that I grew up in don't even help. So thank you guys for that, man.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so let's tell them a funny story, man, about when we were selling cars together. So JV always gives me this credit now. He's his own man. He has an exceptional talent in selling cars, and he always had it. When we spoke of, like, your maturity level coming into the car business, and I'm glad that you're man enough, and you're
100%.
You're man enough to admit it, that, you know, we all knew that you were kind of like full of it.
Oh yeah, I was 1,000%.
You would, I mean, he would just do things, and you'd seen his talent, but JV was just JV, man. And
1,000%.
And getting to know him, you will understand a lot of the reasons why he probably did things like that. Like when I learned your story, kind of coming up in inconsistent, you know, environments, I see why you didn't trust a lot of people at the dealership.
Yeah.
You didn't try to make a lot of friends because it made sense to your upbringing. But as I seen you evolve, as I seen you grow, and you and Blair's relationship grew, I watched your maturity level form, and then it caught up to your talent.
Agreed, yeah. It took me a long time to figure that out.
And we were sitting, so I'm gonna let you tell the story, but we were having these competitive months of sales, and then a couple of times it was an off day I came in, it was a Friday.
It was, yeah.
I called her up.
Yeah.
And then I gave them to you because they needed a new car. I was in used car, he was in new. So I gave him the up, and you can get it from there.
So we had a deal worked out. He worked my used, I worked his new.
Right.
And I don't remember how long you were in the business for around there.
Probably about 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe a year.
Maybe about a year. So, well, when we made the deal, you needed a bonus or something. Something simple. It wasn't very much work on my side. And you said, hey, can you not half me up on this deal? And I said, yeah, no problem, man. I'm not going to half you up, whatever else like that. And then again, let's go back to, I say, you know, AD and BC, you know, after death and whatever. I have that moment in my life. So this is back in my, you know, when I thought I was bigger than the world.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he said, don't half me up. You needed a bonus. I said, I got you. Don't worry about it. I had already hit my bonus. It wasn't a money thing with me. So I did it, but then I took half the car deal. So I had to do a little bit more work or vice versa. I don't remember what I had to do. I didn't really feel justified in it, but I was like, I kind of ignored it, whatever. Didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. And then the next day you come in, I think it cost you your bonus or vice versa. Well, you saw it on log, you saw my name attached to it. And I gave him my word I wouldn't. So what's funny, and I tell him this story all the time, and you can elaborate on some of the stuff we talk about, but I had told you I wouldn't take it.
Right.
And your upbringing and my upbringing doesn't lead to a conversation.
Right.
And that in that day age where we both were, and the maturity level, both of us, it'd have been in the back of the lot.
Absolutely.
That's where it should have been. And I fully expected when I saw you and I saw the look on your face, I said, all right, here we go. It's game time. Like, we got to do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you came down there and you said, let me talk to you for a second. And we walked outside where Brent parks at. And I don't remember how long. We were probably out there for 45 minutes, an hour. But you had taught me, and you said something earlier that attests to that. But you had told me, like, hey, you gave me your word. You got to stick to your word. All we got is your word. I don't remember exactly how you phrased it.
Right.
But I remember taking from that as a motivational moment, is what I call them.
Absolutely.
When you tell someone you're going to do something, you got to do it, because people are going to hold you accountable for your word.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and that was one of the things, you brought it up earlier, the class you teach, right? Or
Absolutely. The camp.
The camp. That was a major point for me when I was donating there, because I was like, let's bring the elephant in the room. I'm a white kid and you're sitting teaching me something about your hand's your word, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, if he can teach me as a 23, 24-year-old arrogant little punk, you know what I'm saying, then he can do that with other people.
Absolutely.
And if he can shine his light, because we all have strengths, right?
Absolutely.
And your strength is talking to people.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the things that I had to learn, and that was a moment where I was like, look, this dude could approach me with his way of life, you know,
Right.
because you were still, I'm not gonna say rough, but you were
Yeah.
still.
I mean, I was aggressive.
You wasn't wearing them joggers yet. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
exactly.
He was aggressive.
Yeah, I was aggressive.
You were ready to go.
Right,
you,
right.
Just like I didn't trust anyone, you were ready to go. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I took that, and I took something that was so minimal probably to you at the time, you know what I'm saying, and it expanded my whole way of thinking, right?
And I'm gonna tell you, can I elaborate a little bit on that story? So at the time, I'm probably about a couple of years older than you, but at the time, I have a son, and like this is life or death for me on this lot. And I understand that like when I had a full head of steam. I was blinded by my ambition. Like when Trent broke down the car business to me, he literally broke it down in drug terms. He said,
agreed.
he said, if you were an ex-drug dealer, he said, this is the lot is the trap house.
Yeah.
He said, the cars are the drugs.
Yeah.
And he said, the car lot provides the drug smoke, the drug users. And he said, all you have to do is sell them the drugs.
Yeah.
And as crazy as that sounds, it made sense to me.
For sure, yeah.
And I took that concept and I approached it with that. And I no shame to Trent.
For sure, yeah.
But he tried to meet me where I was at. But I understood when I got there, I was aggressive. But I knew from the streets or wherever you at, keep your word.
No,
because
1,000%.
you never know when you have to go back on it. So one
Agreed.
thing I understood why I didn't take it left with you, I just knew that you never had really like mild intent. You wasn't like vain intent. You know where you just do something blatantly to just get over on someone.
For sure, yeah.
I just knew that you had this exceptional talent, and you were a little younger. So I
Gotta be
said,
shaped, man.
give him some grace. So for me to have a few conversations with you, for you to even take the deal, first of all, when you were as big as you were, I knew that you had a liking to me. So for me, when you gave me your word, it was more about I was more hurt by our relationship
For sure,
reforming.
agreed.
And I think at that point, you realized how important our relationship was to me, for me to talk to you, and our friendship has formed, like, it just took off from there.
Agreed, yeah. That was like point one.
Absolutely. So even more so when you bring it back up, it just make me realize it's like a timestamp in my life to where we were both struggling.
Yeah,
like
1,000%.
it wasn't like a comfortable
No, it
happy.
wasn't.
I done brought
Both of us had to made it.
I done brought $70,000 trucks from you since
Yeah.
then, but I was driving like a Buick.
We was fighting for 3750 minis.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I was driving a Buick LeSabre when I
Yeah.
pulled up.
I
So
didn't even think I had a car
it
then.
was serious,
Yeah.
you know, and I just knew it don't matter how serious it got. If I give a man my word, if I tell a customer I'm
yeah.
gonna do something, I'm gonna do it.
No,
And-
1,000%.
And I just appreciate you, you know, taking that for what it was worth and understanding that, like, man, just because I'm the top salesman, just because I'm the jock of the car lot, I'm gonna take this advice and I'm gonna use it. And once I seen, you know, you respect me in that way from then and beyond, man, our friendship just took off. And then when I started doing the charity, when you and Blair stepped up, like I said, it was years, man, that I didn't have no donors. And you guys would call me and you would come through and donate hundreds of dollars. You would donate clothes. And it just made me appreciate, you know, giving you that grace that day, because, you know, like you said, we come.
Agreed.
We come.
It could have went away a different way. We wouldn't be
Especially
here.
at David Stanley back
yeah.
then, man. That was
was
a
rough.
very aggressive
Yeah.
lot, man.
It
We
was-
didn't know. We was like almost like the what kind of like the Pistons, the Detroit
Oh, yeah,
Pistons when
the
they won
Bad
they
Boys.
back to back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were just. I mean, you had a little
you
bit
were
of
ruthless.
everybody, and a
Yeah.
lot of those guys is still in the car business. Now you guys are managers. Like
Yeah.
most of the salesmen then are general managers,
1,000%.
finance managers, and things like that.
And that's one of the things that what you were bringing up just a second ago was the point you had to prove, or vice versa, or the relationships you build, right? So I don't think I would be as successful today if I didn't start building relationships, right?
Absolutely.
So shoes, we all love shoes, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
shout out to shoes.
Shout out to shoes.
Steve
So
Richardson.
Steve would text me. He got those paragraphs with no
Right.
punctuation and 17 words misspelled, but he got a point across,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But he was on me from
Absolutely.
like when he realized the same thing that you realized and I
Yeah.
realized. But you had to listen to shoes. He's gonna make you
Oh,
listen.
for sure. For
So and then
sure.
I had like Murphy, right? Murphy's one of the people that I really had to attach myself to. He's the one that made me buy my first pair of dress shoes, first pair of dress pants.
Absolutely.
The stuff you taught to these 12-year-olds in a camp,
right.
I was learning at 23. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of relationships I had to have in order to get me to this point. Like, it takes a village, right? I
Absolutely.
didn't get here just because of my talents. I got
Right.
here because my work ethic's strong, but everyone around me
Right.
put a little piece into me, right?
But
You
what
know?
I like about you is that at a time to where you couldn't you were finding yourself, everybody noticed your talent even when before you did. And I just appreciate you understanding, like, okay, these people around me are telling me something, but I'm not gonna go use it for arrogance to say, hey, I'm a better salesman than you, so I'm not going to listen. I think what you did, because you were young on that lot, and you had a lot of respect amongst your older peers.
For sure, yeah.
But for you to listen was
Yeah.
the most important thing. And a lot of people will look at someone in your position and think all you do is bark orders. But I know when we talk now, if it's something that I can inform you on, you're still all ears.
I'm all ears, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people wouldn't understand that to be a leader, you have to be a great follower.
Yeah, have to be.
And like I said, from Shoes to me to the Blake Featherstones, the Sids of those days, the Chuck Frizzell's, I think a lot of people just knew that you were a little rough around the edges, but if we could all kind of put our hands on you, we would get what we
1,000%.
got. And, you know, I'm sure you have a lot of those relationships still because it was some great bonds formed at that dealership before, you know, they broke up the band. But
Yeah, where there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah, it was a lot of talent. And I'm just glad, though, that you seen beyond, you know, where you were at because you could have stayed a salesman and made –
Yeah,
I mean, you probably could have broke a record and made $1 million in sales like in a year just off your talent. But for you to say, I remember when you turned on that switch, it was like when you went from salesman to manager.
It went like this.
So that's what I want to talk about next. So as you kind of transition, we spoke of, you know, the upbringing. We spoke of your wife helping you get your start and saying, hey, we're going to get some structure. And then you fill out the application, get the job on the spot. Okay, from then till where you transition to say, hey, okay, I know I got talent, but I got to take this a little bit more serious. Like, what was the switch that went off?
So a lot of that next level switch I test to, like I have a stage in my career that, or life that I test to somebody, right? Yours is the right when I learned that, like, I got to do what I say I'm going to do.
Right, for sure.
You know, because when, the environment we grew up in, you could get away with a lot.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and then in business you can't, right? And words. So when I made that switch, Chris Forsythe really put his hands on me, right? He made sure I was doing what I was supposed to do, vice versa. He's one of the only people that I thought I did great. He set me down, made me sit next to him, and he wouldn't let me take phone calls, right? So he did a lot right there. But I think one of the biggest switches we made with life happening in general. But man, my wife, again, I don't mean to always go back to her.
Sure.
She moved me into another house. Then we went from, you know, $550 rent to $1,100 rent. So then, you know, when you kind of make it, but you still living paycheck to paycheck,
right,
pay
absolutely.
bill. But we moved into a little bit bigger house, and then my wife started working with me, and then she started saying little things like that, and I started investing my time into what you, like you said, listening. So I consider myself a good listener now. I wasn't then.
Right.
I didn't want to hear nobody, right? So, but I kind of made a small switch and I made some changes that I would try to make you successful, which would make me successful.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
So, and that's the motto I live by today. Like, I don't care about what I make. I don't calculate what I make. I don't do anything like that. I care about if you're successful.
Right.
Because if I can make 16, 20 people successful around me, mine's going to be there when I'm done. Right. So when I quit caring about just myself and everyone around me, right, then that's when the difference came up for me. You know, and I think that's what sets me aside than most people. I think there's a lot of people like me, but I care about everyone around me.
Absolutely.
I'm a lover, right?
Absolutely.
I like everyone around me.
And that's what I said when even before we got close, I knew you didn't have vain intentions. You just was missing your mark. And sometimes when we're young, we don't care, like you said.
No, I agree.
In our environments, if we do something that's kind of halfway wrong, your conscience can serve you because you see somebody else doing something halfway wrong.
He did that.
He did that, so I can do that. But we've been talking about Blair, and I had to get to Blair. I wanted to give Blair a whole segment because, like Blair, when you hear this, I'm gonna use some slang. Blair is a killer. In the car, she's a baby face killer.
Yeah.
Because when she came to the car business, she had her sweet smile, but Blair had direction and intent, and she knew how to get it done.
She was organized.
All she had was paper tags in her hand.
Yeah.
And I just love Blair to death because Blair, I didn't know even right now when you're telling me this, I didn't know that you and Blair were together before you got in the car business. Now,
Pre-car business.
I meet Blair when Blair comes to the car lot.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that Blair was there.
Yeah, pre-car business.
Yeah, so when I met Blair, like the sweetest woman in the world, like, you know, she'll give you the shirt off her back and, you know, she just loves you like no other. You know, I've watched Blair from your younger 20s to now. And you say it, and I'm glad that you give your wife the credit where it's due because a lot of men, is missing a Blair in their life,
1,000%, yeah.
and they could be in the same position
Yeah.
you are in, but I'll give you credit to understand, to know that you had a strong woman,
Yeah.
and to, make sure that you made good on all the promises that, that you guys made together.
Agreed, yeah.
But man, let's talk about, just marriage, and now you're a father. You got Brixton.
My dude, man.
He's a character, man.
He's
I
a
love to
character.
watch him online, man.
Yeah.
He just looked like he be in his own little world.
That's my dude,
And
man.
I knew how laid back you were when I seen him start growing up. I said, oh, he's going to get Jason hell. Because he's going to be total opposite as
Already,
you.
yeah.
But, man, just talk about, like, how important family is to you, having your wife, having your son. Like, talk about, some of the transitions from, just being a young guy in the car business, making a lot of money, to having a full family now, being married, having a son, and just being a father. Like, just talk about, how do it feel to transition from that young adulthood to, being a grown man and having a family?
Man, I love it. So obviously you're pops, so
Yeah.
I see your daughter and son, and
Yeah.
the books you do. That's part of it. I want to make sure I get him creative like that.
Absolutely.
But man, being a dad's great. So I think early on in my career, Blair did something very selflessness in herself. She took a back seat on her career to let me have my career, right?
Absolutely.
And we talked about it all the time. She made sacrifices in her life and schedule and friends. Saturday, you work every Saturday,
Absolutely.
right? So she made a sacrifice early on because we made not a pact, but we talked about, I want to be a GM by the time I'm 30, and I want to have a kid by the time I'm 30, right? That was our two goals. And she has separate goals and vice versa, but she took a lot of her goals and put them on the back burner so I could achieve our goals for our family, right? They're not just mine. She's a GM too. I mean, that's my life coach at
Right
home,
on.
you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but she put her goals on hold, man, to let me get to where I want to be at. So
Absolutely.
it's marriage is all about sacrifice, right? So
Absolutely.
I did mine. My wife was able to go to do real estate pre-COVID, kind of jump into that once I got to be a GM. She decided it was her turn. So I made some sacrifices to my schedule and things like that to get her to be a realtor, passed her test, and went blazing.
But that's great, because it's been a lot of sacrifices made on both ends, and that's just a testament, though, of when you get the right mate, and you guys understand the vision that you both have, not only on your own lives but together. It's just, what, 12, probably, how long have you guys been together?
2009, so we're on 14 years.
14 years, so 14 years, man. And talk about, like, how it is to be a father now, to go from it just you and Blair to now you got a little rug rat, running around the house. Yeah.
So my dude's, he was with me at work yesterday. He came up here. He wanted work clothes. He wanted to dress like daddy.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to the
Did you
toy
get him a
store.
fleece?
I tried to. I can't find one yet.
Okay,
So I'm trying to
gotcha.
get him one.
We're going to have to get him one made.
I leave the house. He wants to dress like me. We just went to Disney World earlier this month.
I bet that was
March.
awesome.
Oh, yeah. He's a Transformer kid, man. So,
Okay.
And that's one of the things, like, when you become successful, I don't rank it on money or vice versa. I got so happy taking my kid to Disney World. I didn't go to Disney World when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So to see my son at 4 years old to be able to do that as a dad moment, that's a win for me.
That's a vicarious, like, your childhood.
Yeah.
Your childhood you is looking at your son enjoy it.
1,000%.
And I think sometimes I get caught up in that as well, because to afford our children the luxury that we didn't have, sometimes they don't give us the reaction. I don't know if Brixton's to the point now, but I have a 13-year-old, so I remember taking my son to an NBA Finals game or a Christmas game.
Yeah.
We went to the Christmas game.
Any NBA game.
Yeah, and I got a little halfway tipsy at halftime, so I go and sit back there. I said, son, do you know where you at?
Yeah, where you at right now?
You're at a LeBron James Christmas game, man. I would have dreamed of this as a kid. And
we barely could get it on TV.
Yeah, he was kind of like, yeah, it's cool, Dad, but I come to games all the time.
Yeah.
And it was like, in that moment, I had to realize that I had to just accept the fact that, my ceiling is his floor.
For sure, yeah.
And, he's going to get to experience a lot of things that I never got to experience. And I sometimes want the feeling of how I would have wanted to feel, experience it, but I have to just allow him to just experience it in the way he wants to. So that's something I can really relate to, man, because every chance I get to do something that I didn't get to do as a child, it makes me feel so good, and I think I'd be happier than my children.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah,
So the thing that I learned, too, same thing, the reaction, like, I'm, like, stoked that he got this.
Right.
So, and then I don't get the reaction, vice versa. So I've learned that as long as I don't care about getting the reaction necessarily anymore, but I care about if I can shield them from the other stuff.
Absolutely.
If I can keep the bad stuff this way, and then hit, like you said, ceilings to floor, vice
Absolutely.
versa. So that's one of the biggest things about being a dad is, man, it's great. I enjoy going home.
Absolutely.
I look forward to going home and hanging out with my wife and my son. We have boys' day. We got a boys' room.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's learning how to
cool.
use Alexa right now.
That's
so
cool.
he's like talking to the whole house.
Man, you got to enjoy these moments too when he's this young, man,
yeah.
because when he get a little older, it's just they too cool for you.
Oh yeah, I've
you
heard.
know?
Yeah,
they
I've
just
heard.
too cool for you. So one thing I'm getting a great opportunity to do is I was younger when I had my son, so I was 22 when I had my son, but now having my daughter, she's about to be 3 this year. I'm older, so I understand fatherhood more.
Yeah, way
so
different.
I don't know if you and Blair plan on having
income
anymore.
level is different.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you get to kind of enjoy it more, and the errors and mistakes and the shock factor of having a child for the first time has already went away. So when they get sick the first time, when the mother leaves, leaves them with you for the first time, like it was fun to get to re-experience it with the knowledge and the information that I had. So do you and Blair plan on having any more children?
We do. So we're talking about it right now. So not to get way off topic, I got COVID really bad. That. What I'm saying? So my health was a major factor. So we had to get cleared from all that.
Right.
Just make sure I could get things in check.
Right.
Being 30 and thinking you're going to lose your life, is massive to their future and stuff like that. So we want to slow down, make sure I got my health right and everything else like that. So we pushed off having one a little too long, but we're back. But
man, I'm glad you did recover from COVID, man, because I remember they had kind of had you down, and we all experienced. I think I had it a few times when it was I was one of the first 1,000 cases.
I remember that. Yeah,
that was scary. I was one of the first 1,000.
I was like, hey, bro, you didn't bring some food.
Yeah, exactly. So you was living right around.
I live right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
For some reason, we just kept going this way.
Exactly.
Then you went north.
Yeah, I went way north now. But it's just, man, I remember like when we were selling cars together, like you would always like hit the big deals, right? But you never really just cared. Like you never really cared. You've been saying it. You never really cared about the money a lot. So when you think about the ultimate like goal of a car salesman, is to be in your position, right? If he want a career in car sales. So you've worked with a lot of car salesmen. A lot of car salesmen has worked under you. You have worked for a lot of good managers and general managers in the city. Let's talk I always like to educate,
For sure, I agree.
And when we put someone like you on our platform, it's a lot of people who will become familiar with your story that doesn't know it. But for more so, it's going to be a young car salesman that watches this, and maybe you should let your whole sales staff watch it, because maybe they'll learn some things about you that they don't know. But what I want you to do, if you can, talk to maybe the 22-year-old you in a car salesman that's probably has talent but a little rough around the edges. If you can give them any type of motivation, just, young up-and-coming car salesmen, or someone just sometimes men start their car salesman careers late. Yeah. Men and women for that matter. But I want you to give some advice that you think could probably help someone who's in the car business or looking to get in the car business and say, hey, if that's the goal, like, give them some advice on if they like, hey, I want to be in your position. What would you tell them?
First off, come see me and we'll talk.
Joe Cooper.
Joe Cooper, Shawnee, Oklahoma. So I think one of the greatest quotes that I try to live my life by is listen with intent to understand, not with the intent to reply. So
I like that.
Listen more than you're trying to reply back, because if you're always listening to say something back, you ain't really listening.
Right.
So I think that as a young car salesman, I think you have to take the results off the table, right? You focus the process. I think that's really why you're so successful.
Sure.
With not knowing the media game, but
I just love
you do the same thing and you make sure this is right and you pinpoint the process. And you're not saying this has got 1 million, so I'm going to go duplicate it. You're like, now I'm on the next one, right?
Absolutely.
It's the grind, it's the work. Don't care about the results, right? You're going to have good months, you're going to have bad months. It's the car business, right?
Yep.
The market, everything. But when I made the difference to listen more, understand, quit worrying about the results and work about the process, that's kind of when I see the big difference. But you're never going to make it 1 month. I mean, yeah, it's great, but if you don't take care of that client, if you don't get better at customer service, if you don't get better at retention, bring your people back, your platform, right? If you go piss your platform off tomorrow, what's going to happen?
Right, absolutely.
So
they'll turn on you.
They'll turn on you. So, and the database is the same way. So you got to take care of your people. I sign checks all day long that are 7 years ago, I'd have cussed up a storm and said, these people don't deserve this, right? But it's not about if the customer deserves it. It's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So do the right thing. Say the right thing. Don't lead someone down a path that is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Listen, but take advice from the people around you. Like, it's so comical to me that the people around me still talk to me this day. The Curtis, you, Steve, Murphy, you know, I don't talk to
Man, when you could talk to somebody after you leave a dealership, you had to really like that person.
Yeah.
Because half the people you work with at a dealership, you ready to hurt.
Not at all. And we were all alphas. Right. So
absolutely.
That whole group's alphas. And that's what you're never going to recreate that team. Right? That team was next level. And all of us talk like when one of us, something happens to one of us, all of us are chit-chatting.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Or I'm following up with you through Steve or vice versa or whatever. But those dudes really, like, babied me through my career. Like, they let me be kind of a arrogant little prick and then kind of molded me. You know what I'm saying? So listen to your elders, man. Even if they're not better than you on paper, they're better than you at keeping up with customers, product knowledge, vice versa. And you're never going to get anywhere without people.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and that's on both sides of the fence, right? So that's on this side or this on this side. But it's just like this. Your skits and your stuff you do, right? You do it for a reason. Right?
Absolutely.
You do it, but you don't do it to be, I'm going to look at everything on the right side of the table. The left side equals the right side. You know
So that's what a lot of times I'm glad you noticed that you always text me every now and then like that. I get it. I'll get where you're going with it. And a lot of times I'll be conflicted because, you know, sometimes I'm being known all across the world for doing a certain type of comedy. You know, no one wants to shine light on someone making cheating skits, quote unquote. But what I learned in my process, and you talked about the process, I love listening to successful people because when you say something, I'm interviewing you, and you say something that aligns with what I'm saying, I said that's why we both.
Yeah, you're like.
And somebody got on to me one time saying when you hit a certain level, but people don't understand. You have to go through levels of life to understand certain things, and somebody can think you're projecting higher than by saying a certain level, but you're at the pinnacle of a car salesman's career. So you get what, if they never been there, they can't understand why you would say certain things. They don't understand. It's easy to look at your position from the other side of the desk and make the decision, but when it comes down to being on your side and have to make a decision on millions of sales in cars, you know, it's a different ball game. So I just love how you said, you know, you just buy into the process. But one thing I learned about the process was that people want to hear a different side sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
And if it's been a sensitive subject that, you know, when people have infidelities or cheating, then okay, we don't talk about it because it hurts some people. But what if someone wants to just hear a story of perspective? And that's where kind of like I found my lane. I said, I'm not necessarily trying to glorify it, but I'm going to get the story out. And however the story needs to be told to articulate it in a humorous way, that's what I'll do. And so I brought into a character. The internet is nothing more than characters. So when we get on the internet every day, we might post for personal, hey, we went to Disney, let me show the fam.
For sure,
But a lot of people get on the internet every day and just develop a mantra, some for good, some for bad.
No, both ways.
So what I learned how to do, JV, is create characters. And amongst my characters, I said, hey, Denzel Washington goes home and he don't get repercussions for being, you know, the guy he was on Training Day. You know?
So agreed, yeah.
Why can't I get on this camera
1,000%.
and get millions of people to look at my brand, look at what I'm doing, and tell a story from an actor's perspective? So that's where I kind of found my niche at. But I just appreciate you and all of your support in me, but not only just the support, but, you know, you believe in me.
No,
you know, you believed in me enough to say, hey, I'm going to allow you to come to my dealership, and you make the calls here. And, you know, a lot of people wouldn't allow me to access. And relationships are important, how you mentioned earlier, because I have had so much access to so many different things in my car buying experience. It's a totally different experience. How cool is it to come and see your good friend that's the general manager to buy a car? Trust me, the deals are lovely. So make sure y'all come to Joe Cooper.
Yeah, come see me.
But, man, in closing, I just want to give you your flowers, brother, because a lot of the times, like I said in passing, we didn't know that our friendship would develop into what it was. But
if you asked us 10 years ago,
oh,
we'd be right here today.
JV is cool. He sells cars. But
and even where you're at today, right? You know what I'm saying?
You might see me online, but when we developed that friendship, I knew it was special. And you and your wife haven't ceased to, you know, stop supporting me and helping me in any way. And I felt it was important to get on camera with you, brother, and just talk about it, man, and to give you your flowers and tell you thank you for all the years of support, of love that you and your wife has shown me. And, man, I just appreciate you, and you're doing great things, not only at Joe Cooper, but, man, just for a kid that was in the community you came from, man. I hope that someone sees this and know that you don't have to fit a certain type of criteria or a certain type of demographic or ethnicity to just be successful or to make it from your struggle, because a lot of times, you know, we speak on privilege. And like I said, it's important for someone to know that, no, he doesn't come from privilege. Your skin didn't get you in this position.
Not at all.
Your hard work did.
1,000%.
And you know, a lot of people will try to just, you know, automatically say that, you know, because you're white, you had the opportunities that, you know, that I didn't have. But
sure.
I literally watched you, Jason. I watched you as a green pea salesman to
I was terrible for a while.
To a general manager. And I just, like I said, no matter the color of your skin, no matter, you know, what you've been through in life, I just want to thank you for being a friend. And, you know, a lot of the times when race come up, you know, they try to divide, you know, and it's not like that, because people like you and Blair has came into my life and undid so many amazing things that has helped me help other people that look like me. And I just felt that it was important, not only for my platform to know, but for, you know, anyone who will see this, that, man, you never know who you'll need or who will be beneficial to your life. And we've been able to help each other in life, you know, from a 10-year plus relationship that we built on a car lot. So car salesman, if you're watching this, I know a lot of the times, a lot of your salesmen might not even communicate. You know, you might have a salesman that's been around for 20 years and you got a guy only been in the business 6 months. You won't even ask him no questions.
No, agreed, yeah.
You know,
talk.
you won't even ask your fellow salesman, like, okay, man, how was your background? Y'all sit on a lot. I mean, right now, you might be sitting on a lot. You spend more time with these people than you do with your own family. So
it'll surprise you.
You never know what type of relationship will form, and I'm just glad, you know, especially for my stint in the car business, that I got to experience a good friend like yourself, and just to see you blossom and grow to where you're growing, man, it's only the beginning. And I know that you'll do a lot of more great things in the car business and, you know, beyond, man, and I appreciate, again, man, you and your wife for everything you guys did, man. I got invited to the party.
Yeah, he's coming.
So I'm ready to turn up. Me and my girlfriend will be there.
Yeah.
We'll come and turn up with the 90s. I told you I'm going to put on a headband.
Oh, yeah, I got the Reebok. I got the leather Reebok.
I might even put on an Iverson sleeve for the early 90s look.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Man, thank you again, JV. I send my love to you, man. I wish you much, much more success in the car business and beyond. And, man, may your beautiful family continue to grow. May you guys stay healthy. And, man, thank you. And if you ever need anything, it's an open line anytime,
same here,
brother.
man.
So,
I appreciate you sitting down and taking time with me.
Absolutely, man. I'll do it anytime, and it's not going to be our last time.
No, not at all.
We will be getting some content, like I told you, after this interview. And I encourage anyone who is looking for a car, new or used, to come see JV and his team at Joe Cooper Chrysler Jeep and Dodge in Shawnee. You can look them up online. They have a great selection of inventory. And this is someone that I will send you to, because when I got out the car business, man, I'll be honest. I'll say it on camera. I don't care who don't like it.
We're going to talk about it.
I wasn't going to send nobody to David Stanley because I knew how it was.
No, agreed.
But I feel comfortable and confident in sending someone here, man, because I know you like family and you'll take care of them.
Yeah.
And anytime I have sent someone to you, when they mention my name, they come back with a smile and a great experience. So thank you again, man. Y'all make sure y'all come to Joe Cooper.
Come see us.
Great interview, man. Hey,
I appreciate you.
We'll do it again.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, maybe we can do it on your boat one time. Do you still got the boat?
I just sold it, man.
He just sold. I'm sure
I just sold it.
You think you'll get another one in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to. So we're gonna go pool or lake house. We're kind of deciding a couple things, but yeah.
I tell you what. Let's make a pact on camera. Y'all heard on camera. He said he's getting another boat or a lake house. So the next interview you see with me and JV, we're gonna be
talking about it.
We're gonna be in the sun. We're gonna have on our Oakleys. We're gonna have some beer and some liquor, man.
Straw hats, right?
And it ain't gonna be as serious. So man, thank you again, man. I'll let you get back to work, man. Appreciate you.
Boss.
No problem. Y'all take it easy. Peace. I like to do hood rat shit with my friends.